and we have a family that's decimated by their
folks sound
character defect.
over the
Kyle's
top.
just like, oh, that's hilarious.
Maybe we should move to Sweden. Welcome to Kyle and Dave vs. the Machine video edition. Some people consider the Swedish population to be grimdark, austere, very serious. But I'm here to tell you that Ingmar Bergman, super funny. Knee slapper.
That's how he's associated for sure. When I hear Ingmar Bergman, I think flat out slapstick comedy.
We kid, but do have a bit of a disagreement on whether we think Ingmar Bergman is a funny director. I am on the side of yes. I actually do think Ingmar Bergman puts a lot of humor. It's just whether or not you are going to find that funny is going to be
Nobody's saying
litmus test.
He doesn't have his own sense of humor, but his movies are fucking depressing.
I just don't think they're depressing.
Let's talk about Fanny and Alexander.
Yeah.
Kyle and I have this small debate because for Kyle's other podcast, we watched Smiles of the Summer
Night.
Sure. One of his early films.
Super funny.
It was later adapted into a musical by
A Little Night Music.
Kyle's hero obsession, Steven Soderbergh.
No, Stephen Sondheim. What are you talking about?
I had mixed feelings about that. It's earwormed me, and I keep thinking particularly about that one quote about love in that one. This film was conceptualized as a miniseries, cut down as a theatrical cut for distribution, and the theatrical cut itself is still 3.5 hours long.
3 hours, 10 minutes.
It's a bit of a slog. I thought it was okay. A bit overrated. The asterisk there is I'm pretty sure watching this film that the 5-hour miniseries version must be legitimately epic because it's all in there. I just felt like it was cut together in the most awkward way. And I didn't like the escalation at the end into the sort of fantasy-esque, magical, I don't know, what do you call it?
Magical realism.
Realism with, we forgot to look up Ishmael, Azazel, whatever the angel of death is. It just got super weird and I couldn't follow it.
Yeah, so I love this movie. I thought this movie was great. I have now developed this huge affection for Ingmar Bergman's filmography and I want to delve in a little bit more than what
two of them.
I've watched only two of them. That is correct.
It's piqued your curiosity, whetted your appetite.
I only have some very minor criticisms. I will agree with you to only a very slight point that the final 30 minutes does sort of lose me, which is like, what is happening here? The miniseries probably expands on is much
That's
more.
What I've read.
I was so into the entire journey up to that point. There is enough magic throughout the rest of the movie that it wasn't such a shock that moment happens in the final final third.
Too quick
but regardless,
and too hard.
Feels like a Charles Dickens novel with the weird characters and over-the-top people. I found a lot of it funny in the first third. It was really good. Guffawing.
There's a lady crying about how miserable she is in her old age, and we have a family that's decimated by their character defects.
2 small scenes in an otherwise like over-the-top.
I was just like, oh, that's hilarious.
Maybe we should move to Sweden. I don't know. The other small criticism I will say that we do spend a bit of time on, why is this called Fanny and Alexander? It is a weird title.
Fanny's in it for like 5 minutes out of 3 hours. She's visually in the film, but she doesn't have a part in this until the middle 2/3, and then she's not in it anymore. Really should have just been called Alexander, but maybe, you can't. There are too many famous Alexander.
Exactly. Alexander the Great. Maybe just call it Alexander and Fanny. It was just like Kyle and Dave versus the Machine. It wouldn't work if it was called Dave and Kyle versus the Machine.
Why would I come first?
That's what most of my dates say. So
I knew I was losing it because there's 3 brothers live under the matriarch, and then we're following essentially of the boy underneath for like 1/3 of the story. But one of them is this buffoon. He's pretty funny. Does this big speech at the end. And that's when I knew I had missed the point of this whole movie.
I think this is mostly on you. I think that there's enough little like breadcrumbs that are left through this. One of the biggest themes being you're both a child and an adult at the same time, where you have to be an adult although you're a kid, or sometimes you have to flip into your kid self even though you're an adult. Just the changing nature of families. Like families do not necessarily stay static. There's a lot that I was able to glean from this. And I was in it. I was in it for the entire over 3 hour runtime.
It can be quite gripping. And this is why if I ever have the time and wherewithal, I'll sit down for the
spread over 5 nights.
5 nights.
I think the longest
but I gotta
episode.
also commit to it and enjoy it and find time because my family will not watch that. No. Hiding in the corner of my bedroom. Leave me alone. Don't interrupt me.
I'm watching Fanny and Alexander.
Come out crying. One of the great films, eventually Oscar nominated.
Weird stat in the 80s. I don't know when this changed. If you were nominated in the best foreign language film category, you could not be nominated for Best Picture. Interesting.
We don't want outsiders in our awards. I don't want to say
that is of course changed.
Bullshit anyways.
We'll have an entire video on that.
Fanboy.
Next week.
Yeah. What are we watching?
We're doing we're watching the movie An Officer and a Gentleman.
You know what we should do for that video? I'll yell at you to keep doing push-ups while it's raining.
I'll get to 3 and stop.